This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, welcome to Keeping It Simple. And I'm in a dark room right now in Singapore, so can't switch on my camera. But Peth, who is joining us from another part of the world, will be starting to share his experience with the concept of DAO accelerationism. So, Peth, whenever you're ready, we'll start in about a couple of minutes. Until then, I'll just briefly describe what the concept of keeping it simple is and what this session is about. So if you guys interacted with the Convo platform to RSVP to this event, you would have seen that there's many such sessions hosted in kernel, and this was one of them. So you can see the list of all the sessions here, and today we are specifically focused on DAO accelerationism, which is a movement and an effort being promoted and being coordinated by Peth through his different initiatives like DAOcember and DAO Spring. So yeah, Peth, whenever you're ready, feel free to unmute yourself and we'll start the session.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I just managed to find.
Thank you. Yeah, just
not very quiet spot, I guess. I kept walking, but here we are in the middle of nowhere. So I apologize to everyone again for being in this place because, yeah, I thought that this call is tomorrow. So there's that. All right, let me join to my laptop.
That's perfect. Until Peth joins through his laptop, I'll just describe the different initiatives that some of you might be aware of, like DAOSpring. And I'll keep sharing my screen and keep sharing these links in the chat so that there's more context about these different initiatives that Peth will describe more in the next few minutes. So DAOSpring is one, then there's DAOcember, which was the event that happened a couple of months back in December and January. And it was like the beginning of coordination of many different communities coming together. And that is something that I'm also very interested in knowing, because we were able to get so many different DAOists and so many different communities being represented in this particular initiative. So yeah, once Peth joins properly through his laptop, we'll be able to understand how these events were structured, how everything came together, and what is the whole concept of DAO accelerationism about. So thank you for your patience. We just hope for this session to be as interactive as possible. So please feel free to raise your hand at any point, ask questions in the chat. Yeah, I like the GMs that were going at the beginning of the call. And that we are in for a fun session, and we'll have more such sessions in the future, because DAOSpring, as its beginning, is about many such sessions being hosted in the next few days as well.
Awesome. Thank you for
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you for your patience. I hope you're hearing me well enough. As I said, I situated myself somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and coincidentally, I'm wearing the DAO t-shirt, even though I have no idea this is happening.
Yeah. So, Peth, do you have to share your screen? I'll stop my screen share.
Yeah, I will share my screen. Before sharing my screen, I'll just share briefly about myself. So for people who don't know me, DAOs are what got me into crypto. Like, they got me into Ethereum back in 2016. Like, they really made it all click for me. And then I joined the DAO. I was still in 2016. Yeah. The infamous DAO that raised the most money in any crowdfunding history, and then got hacked. So I almost lost all of my ETH in that hack. Luckily, Ethereum got hard forked, and then there were no DAOs for a while. But I never gave up the idea of DAOs, and
when the more DAOs started popping up back again in 2019. Among them was MetaCartel, which I joined. And then soon after, I started a project called MetaGame, which was about building this gamified onboarding platform for people who want to learn what Web3 is about, besides number go up, and really try to help people join the DAO space. So like join that specific part of Web3. I joined the DAO space by contributing rather than like trying to join the space just by speculating. So that's MetaGame. Yeah, thank you for opening it. That's the basic idea was building this decentralized factory, so like a network of service DAOs and project DAOs and all the different resources that people need for starting a DAO. So that was a few years ago, and now fast forward to this December. So actually last December was the first time that the DAOcember happened. It was organized by the DAO House team, which is also like another, for those who don't know DAO House, it's a platform for building DAOs, like more like on the tooling side. And they also came out of the MetaCartel DAO. So we're both from the same community. And yeah, they just made this gathering for people who were interested in DAOs, obviously. And then this year, I decided to organize it because yeah, they were interested, but nobody's really stepping forward. And I said, let's just do it. And this year it was a bit more structured. So in a sense that I came up with like a full curriculum for building a DAO that was taken from a bunch of different places based on like what people were complaining that doesn't work in DAOs, or what people were struggling with when starting DAOs. And so there was a list of like 25 topics, and we gathered 70 DAOists from across the space, or like 70 veteran DAOists, and they were like coming from over 80 different DAOs or DAO tooling projects, and they filled all of these panels and workshops, and then we recorded these talks, panels, and workshops. And over the next few months, we turned all of these recordings into DAO playbooks. So basically, we distilled down like 30 hours of recordings into 150 pages. So each of the 40-minute panels became like a 5-minute post about the topic, distilled down to like what are the essentials around that topic. So yeah, we produced the DAO playbook. Let me find the link to that. I will share that as well.
Yeah, is it this one?
Oh, you have on DAO. There we go. Yeah, thank you. So this is the DAO playbook. It's still not finished, still open for contributions. But yeah, for the most part, it's done. And yeah, actually, by now it's like 170 pages. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to learn there, especially for the people who have no idea what are DAOs. And then yeah, this is the curriculum that I was talking about from DAOcember, and these are all the people who participated and whose thoughts are inside this DAO playbook. Okay, so that's still in the history, and then after that came DAOSpring. So that was the idea from DAOcember, that based on DAOcember we produce this DAO playbook, and then based on this DAO playbook we will run the first DAO incubation / acceleration cohort. And so that's what we're doing. And yeah, so basically it's a program for anybody who wants to build a DAO or needs help in like continuing to build a DAO that you already started. It goes on for 8 weeks with one talk and panel per week, one workshop, and one weekly challenge. And can you scroll down a bit, so just to see the actual program? Or the people need to watch the trailer, but not do it now. It's just, you know, this is just a screenshot. The link is below. We need to turn on the sound.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go. get up, and they gotta go up. Gotta wake up, bitch, get up.
I will also share the just in the chat the DAOscember video because it was on par with this one. December. Where are you? There we go.
Is it this one?
Yeah. You don't have to play that one. I just wanted to share it in the chat so people can watch it, but it's
Okay, I'll just share the link to that.
All right, thank you. Definitely worth watching. But yeah, so that's that basically. So we're running the DAO Spring right now, and then after DAO Spring, we also plan on running the DAO Rush week. So it's going to be a week in fall where DAOs will come to share their progress. So it'll be like a DAO demos, DAO tooling demos, and basically like a DAO job fair. So we plan on bringing the DAO ecosystem together to show what they've been working on and to show like all the open roles that we have. But all the while, like we're talking about all these different events. So this is now 4 different things. So DAOcember, the DAO playbook, DAO Spring, and DAO Rush week. And then like every time I was talking to people, I would have to write multiple names. Or when I was looking for sponsorships, I would type in DAOcember / DAO playbook / DAO Spring, and it was just getting out of hand. So then at some point I came up with this meme of DAO Accelerationism, which is what this session was actually supposed to be about. So let me share my screen.
All right.
So and this. There we go. Share the screen. I'm getting this exclamation mark, like I'm not able to share it. Let's see.
Yeah, try again.
Yeah, the issue is on the laptop. I just got a new laptop. I actually installed Zoom yesterday, so it doesn't have the permission. Looks like I have to quit to apply the permission.
That's perfectly fine. So until Peth joins us back, does anyone want to share their thoughts on like how they found out about DAO accelerationism and like what are your thoughts on this particular topic as you approach it through your own journey, through your DAO or through DAOs that you know? Like, feel free to unmute or like mention it in the chat.
Well, I can go first.
Sure,
My
Coco.
emoji, yeah, my emoji is a zebra corn, which is our DAO logo. When I'm saying this on camera, I always put DAO in quotation marks because it's really a group of people in a Telegram group chat trying to figure things out as we go. With a multi-sig, of course. I feel like that's the first step in a DAO. I don't know if you can hear the noise in the background, but there are some renovations. But the reason that I wanted to join this call is because right now we're going through a lot of growing pains, which is figuring things like even making proposals or voting or figuring out how we spend our very little, well, not very little, but our small treasury. And I feel like this playbook and these types of conversations are really helpful for me as someone who's just trying to figure things out. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm here. I'm really curious. Well, one, I know that reading the playbook will definitely help. But I think like I keep thinking about how small we are and how our vision is, well, part of my vision is for us to have like the most collective event ever, which means instead of being organized by a small group of people, decentralizing event organizing in a way where people from all over the world can participate in making an event happen. So I start to brainstorm that, and then I start to double down on thinking why a DAO and how its structure can make that all feasible. So that's me.
Thank you, Coco. And Coco has been through Kernel, and she's been a Kernel fellow for a long time now. So there's a lot of like conversations like this that we have had, and like I just appreciate like Peth coming on as a peer mentor in the last block of Kernel, and now all of you joining a Kernel conversation as well. And it's like having conversations like this with like an intent of crafting like a tool or a set of strategies or communities that like is so special about these keeping it simple sessions. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Coco, and for those reactions, Justin. Like Peth, whenever you're ready, we are here to see what you have to share.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the most of what Coco said. I only caught the last part, and I would love to hear more at some point, because I found decentralizing the event organization to be like pretty hard, and I could definitely use some help with that. So if you have any ideas, I would love to hear more. And also, before we continue, if anybody has any questions or anything. All right, then let me share my screen. And are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. All right, so DAO Accelerationism. I don't know if you're able to
Yeah, we
zoom
can.
in. Maybe make this smaller. So DAO Accelerationism is a movement kickstarting the DAO Renaissance, this ever-changing meta brand and community, building a shared audience for all things DAOs. So as I said, it starts with this with a series of events and a central content piece. So it starts with DAOcember, the DAO playbook, DAO Spring, and DAO Rush Week. And so yeah, those are the four starting pieces, but it's really meant to be like a headless brand, so open to any related DAO event or anybody so who's interested in doing something for the DAO ecosystem. Basically, what we started doing is that we have this Telegram group with like 400 people, the Twitter account, and the newsletter. And what we'll be doing is for each of these events, we are just rebranding the whole thing. So we just renamed the group from DAOcember to DAO Spring, and same for the Twitter account and the newsletter. And then we'll do the same for DAO Rush Week and like any DAO event in between, and we'll help people promote the event, find sponsors, whatever else people need help with. But yeah, so this meme of DAO Accelerationism, which started as this umbrella brand, and really want to make it like a DAO ecosystem wide thing. So it's not like a single organization, but more so, yeah, this network of DAOs and people. And I don't want to be the one organizing all of these events. Like I organized the first year, and then ideally each of these events would be led by somebody else, and I would be supporting it rather than being the main organizer. So as you all know, DAOs right now are this in trough of disillusionment. There's very little talk of DAOs. We like these. We have these hardcore DAO enthusiasts that are still here, but for the most part, like newcomers, just like don't care about DAOs. And like even for DAOSpring, like we had many less people apply than for DAOcember. Like for DAOcember, it was all about people who are already in the DAO space, and there was a shit ton of people. But then for DAOSpring, where it's about starting a DAO, there's a lot less excitement. And then the people who came were mostly people who already started the DAO. So like people who either just started the DAO or started the DAO like a year ago and could use some help. I don't know if there was even a single person who came with just an idea to like, I have an idea and there's no DAO or anything yet. So that was a bit disappointing and also points in this direction of like, yeah, like we need more DAOs that actually work. We need to set better examples, and we need to help people understand really how to build DAOs that don't suck. To show people that the decentralized doesn't have to mean chaotic, autonomy doesn't mean a lack of accountability, voting doesn't mean whales get decide, that DAOs can be leaderful and not just leaderless, and the DAOs aren't going anywhere. And then this just talks about how I think DAOs win because we've entered in this age of this network age, and it's this the same reason that the blockchain wins, which is like just part of the reason is the world is just too complex, and just intelligence is decentralized, and so will this infrastructure have to be to keep up and to not get corrupt. Emerging DAOs, network-based digital native life form, opening ground for experimentation, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through all of this because like this is a 10-page document, and I planned on preparing like a short deck for a talk, but as I said, I didn't know this was today. I'm going to share the link to this, but yeah, making a case about how DAOs are kind of in between different organizational types. So some people try to box DAOs in like DAOs are clubs, or DAOs are co-ops, or DAOs are blockchain-based corporations and whatever. But I think they're kind of in between all of these. I think they're also in between all of these previous stakeholder or shareholder types. So with the tokens, we have the opportunity to merge the incentives of workers, investors, and users, and they can all kind of everybody can play all three roles in different levels. And what I like the most is that I think being a DAOist is kind of a career path in between all of these career paths. So you like it's not a job, you're not a freelancer, and you're not a founder, but you're kind of all of it. And I think ideally we should be able to merge so that like it brings the best of all of these. So like a community of having a job, freedom of being a freelancer, ownership of being a founder, and with this bonus effect of security from multiple income streams, because people can just like work on multiple DAOs at the same time. And then this goes into like the bigger picture and what I think the end game is. So I think like all of the most important humanity, social, economic infrastructure will be running on Web3 protocols and DAO toolings and supported by swarms of autonomous agents. And this network analysis continuously running, tracking the availability and cost of resources, gathering complaints and reports, triggering bounties and hackathons, quadratically matching highest concerns, people and DAOs bidding for work, and blurring these lines between the democratic bureaucracy, the civic sphere, and the market. And really having this overview where anybody can see like the state of resources, the state of value flows, like what's going inside organizations, what's coming out, and really getting the bigger picture view of what's happening in the society around them. And this is not so far-fetched, like you can already see, for example, with GeoWeb, you can see value flows mapped, so you can see how the tokens flow through the blockchain and through different grants. And so if you combine this with, for example, Coordinate and Gitcoin, you can get a full map of like, okay, so these are the grants, people donate, then money goes into these organizations, people report these contributions, people get paid, the output organization this, so you can really get a full overview of like what comes in, what goes in and what comes out, and really like that helps us stamp out any kind of inefficiency or corruption. This is a bit more, yeah. So as you can see, like this is all, yeah, this is the very first draft, and we are in the process of gathering feedback from anybody who's interested in providing feedback. So let me share this right now before I forget.
Is this the first group you're sharing this in?
I shared the link in the group, but this is the first time that I'm presenting it. The first time that I'm actually talking about it.
Yeah, I'll just share it with everyone. So thank you for sharing. Like Coco has a question in the chat. Like, what would
Yeah.
you? Yeah, you can check the chat, right?
I can also share. I can also ask it, but I've talked to
Go ahead.
Zach a couple times about using Coordinate and kind of roughly went through the demo. But I think my worry is the friction of using Coordinate. Like, it's another app, and people are already on Telegram, and now Discord, and now Coordinate, and So, what would you rate your honest opinion of adding that to the tool stack?
It definitely adds some overhead, and like I would say that like no matter what tool stack you're using, you still like in all organizations, people should still report their contributions and like their status and progress for the month. But the overhead that Coordinate adds is that the whole team needs to then evaluate each other. So it's not just like, it's not dependent on one person, but the whole team. So there's obviously upside and downside. The upside being that like how much somebody gets paid is no longer decided by a single person, but the downside is that well, like everybody needs to take time to actually evaluate contributions, and it definitely takes time to do that. I found what works best is just like splitting into smaller teams. So like not having a coordinate that's like 20 people or 50 people, but having a coordinate that's like 5 people or 10 people at maximum. It's not a perfect tool, and like there's more like praise. There's Armitage, that's like a fork of SourceCred, somebody trying to reboot SourceCred. There's Thrivecoin, so I think there will just be more and more of these tools. So I just use the Coordinate as an example here, but there will be more and more of these like decentralized work evaluation tools or like reward systems. And I'm looking forward to seeing more in action. I think it's good to have like to use like a combination. So like in MetaGame we have stable pay. So like we have people who are paid a specific amount per month, and then other than that we like also use Coordinate for people who are either not deep in the organization or for like distributing extra rewards for people who contribute more than they like, more than they get paid for. Right, any other questions before we move on?
We had Justin mention the Taoist tetrahedron. Justin, do you want to expand on that?
That's a shape that was made from that. It was like the freelancer and the founder and like the kind of employee, and they had the DAOs at the center, but I was kind of seen as a tetrahedron where each of those words was actually like a vertice. And so it kind of became like I just thought it was really kind of cool, like, because maybe at different times, maybe you are sometimes the DAOist, maybe at the center in the highest kind of pinnacle, but also it could be like a rotating form, but sometimes it's actually more important to be a founder than a DAOist, or a freelancer than a founder. So kind of like this kind of tetrahedral shape. So it's kind of just a humorous joke, but also an observation of the nature of the shape that he was showing in that kind of like triple Venn diagram.
Yeah, definitely agree. And what's I think most important to highlight about it is that like it's not about this like single balance or single thing that works for everybody, but more so that it becomes more flexible for people to like somebody who's struggling to decide like, oh, I'm not sure whether I should be a freelancer, whether I should get a job, or whether I should do this or that. Like it becomes easier to find this middle ground. So like you can decide, okay, I'm going to be like a 70% founder and 30% freelancer, or I'm going to be 50% worker for this DAO and 50% co-founder on this other DAO. So like it's really, yeah, becomes more flexible for people to decide for themselves and find a perfect ratio that works for them. Theoretically, at least.
I may have a question, I guess. It's kind of like a perspective, but also like a, so as we've been working kind of in the DAO space, I started off kind of working with Seeds, which is like a regenerative cryptocurrency. It kind of had a big boom and bust about 2 years long or so like that. But we got really, it's kind of my introduction to the space. And we used to work in this thing called a DHO, which is kind of like, instead of being about decentralized and autonomous, it's more about focusing on the human aspects of decentralized human organizations and learning about what really decentralization meant and also how you could operate from a more human perspective. And when I look at your offering as like this kind of quad set of offerings that build up the DAO Accelerationism, it really feels like part of what you're going for is the training, the learning, the development. But also there's a sense of like quantity and numbers of participants being important, and also a responsiveness, I guess, to the needs of the people who are showing up in a certain way. So I heard you kind of say that you're adapting your approach because people aren't really starting DAOs. They're actually trying to make the DAOs they had going work better. And I wonder, like, in your approach, in your process, because you've done a lot, which I want to celebrate. Like, damn, dude, that's a lot. That's a lot to build and a lot to launch. And it sounds like you're doing really, really well. So I just want to celebrate you and all that you've done. I wonder, how is the relationship you have with the individuals and the people and the humans? And are there things that you find that you want to focus more on, or that could be developed, or spaces where the support could come in to helping, take care of the people who are showing up to support and to find their way through this new kind of DAOism, but also the DAO acceleration process? Does that make sense?
What I would wish, was that the question, like what I would hope for people who are coming into the space? Or could you rephrase the question? Oh, I'm not hearing you if you're saying something.
Did that come through at all, or did it kind of get muddled up? Sorry.
Okay, I hear you now.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so what Peth was asking.
I just asked really long.
Yeah. Justin, we lost you for a bit there. What Peth was asking is, could you rephrase your question so that Peth understands if he has to answer in terms of what he wishes?
Yeah, I think I was asking kind of when it comes to your work with DAOs and all the kind of DAOs you've seen and experienced, are there things that you learned about what's required in accelerationism around taking care of the humans or like well-being in order to have DAOs be successful, or kind of in the work that you're doing with your communities and DAOs?
That's super hard actually, because like as DAOs struggle, like most DAOs struggle with financing, and so they barely have enough funding to like cover the basic operations. And then on top of that, like to have, you really need to have somebody care about the community or care about the people. Yeah, it really depends on resources. It's really important to build a community of people who really care for each other. And like maybe adopt some of the best practices from organizations in the past. Like we recently added like to the people who started receiving this stable monthly pay, that they're gonna be able to have 2 months off, so like an actual vacation every year, whereas previously like you work, you stop working, you don't get paid. So like I think it makes sense to have like vacation days for people to actually go touch grass, because even though you might encourage them to do it, they will still not do it because they know that they just won't get paid. Yeah, I don't have really a better answer there. It's really tricky. And yeah, you were talking about seeds like from the Rieki, the Haifa DAO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Reiki and the hyphen. That's where I kind of got my start in it. But I think they had kind of their boom and their bust. So hyphen is still kind of going, but the seeds movement and all that kind of came around. It kind of came to it's kind of it's in that rough spot too, where it kind of needs some help in figuring out how to get a new level of get up and go if it's going to be able to go forward. Yeah.
I think we started about the same time, and MetaGame also has a seed token, and our token also like it went up to $80, and now it's $1. So I can relate with Rieki, and the platform they built is great. Like it's one of the best DAO or I guess DHO platforms, and I would love to recommend it to more people. The only issue is that it's not it's on Telos, so it's not EVM compatible. So like if I tell people go use this thing, you can't use anything else. Like you can't use head protocol, you can't use any other, you can't use safe or any other like DAO tooling. Like, it's not interoperable. But it's yeah, it's a really great tool actually. All right, any more questions? And does this work because Justin froze for me?
Yeah, he's frozen for all of us, I think. Yeah, I'll let you know when there's more questions. We can continue.
All right. So yeah, getting to the last stretch. So this was a bit about what I hope to see DAOs long term and what are some of the challenges, and then accelerating this progress. So like building a lot more DAOs and better DAO tooling, highlighting them, the successful ones, sharing their stories, inspiring more people, iterating on the DAO playbook. So like as I said, all those 4 events will be cycling through them each year. So each year there will be a new version of the DAO playbook. And yeah, rewarding the people who are advancing the DAO ecosystem. So what we did so far: organized DAOcember and DAO Spring. Had these channels that grew from 0 to 300 plus in 2 weeks. 70 plus veterans, 80 plus DAOs, 100 plus DAO summoners and operators signed up. And yeah, many hours, 150 actually, now it's 170 pages playbook. Then yeah, the last bit is that we'll be starting this DAO G token. So it's an experiment in building this DAO SIN coin, which will be used for people to signal their alignment with the meme of DAOs, as well as to reward the people who are advancing the DAO ecosystem. So the idea is that like 10 years from now, everybody should own at least one DAO G. And we will be organizing these DAO awards for choosing like the best tooling or the best DAOs of the year. We'll be distributing these tokens. And yeah, so the basic idea, so let me get to here. So people to tip each other with this token during the events on Farcaster, in the Telegram group, and on these DAO awards. And then having these leaderboards of top DAOs, top DAO tooling, top DAOists, based on how much DAO G they received from other people. And this creates this social graph of all DAOists in the ecosystem, and you should be able to see like which DAOist onboarded which DAOist, or who onboarded or who supported, who recognized somebody's value. And hopefully some other project will also decide to use this graph as an airdrop list for the tokens that they will be dropping. So DAO Accelerationism primarily organizes events, produces content and directs attention to DAOs, and is overall building this shared brand, as I already mentioned. So we have DAOcember, which is a yearly gathering of DAOists, then the DAO playbook, a crowdsourced DAO playbook, DAO Spring, the incubation program, DAO Hack Month. So I haven't mentioned DAO Hack Month before, but we did this already. So we did this month-long hackathon to commemorate the DAO hack back in like 2020, and I would love to do another one, the DAO Rush Week, so the DAO Demos and Job Fair, and the DAO Awards. So there are like 6 of these events. That's plenty to work from. These events will all be sponsored, so like paid through sponsorships, and some of the sponsorship funds will be used to buy the DAO G tokens and distribute it to the speakers and people who like contribute during the event. And there will be entry fee paid in this token as well. Then just like other things that we could do, so like DAO Vets, the DAO advisory service from all the speakers that we have listed. Local DAO Summer, which is an event about like city or village DAOs, which is not organized by us, but it's like a perfect fit. And there are other like city events, so we can help other DAO events by promoting them through the newsletter and through the Luma invite list, through the Telegram group, Twitter account, whatever else, helping them find sponsorships, give maybe small grants and other stuff like that. And then so we help other events, and then by helping them, we're also helping DAO Accelerationism, because each event grows this shared audience, both on Twitter and the Telegram group, and maybe they buy some of the DAO G tokens as well to align themselves with the movement and to signal their support. And that's it really. So the only final thing is the where find the link.
Yeah, I have a simple question, Peth. Like, can you go to the section where the numbers are mentioned? The 69 DAO.
This the distribution.
The section above that.
Yeah, I pretty
So
much
where the
skipped
different
this
DAOs
because
are
it's
mentioned.
just like the first draft, so I don't know if this will be like this.
I was referring to the earlier section where you have the different DAOs. Yeah, this one, stats so far. So yeah, I'm curious, like, if this is the largest gathering of like different DAOs being represented in the same playbook and living documents and like different live events, or like, have you seen any previous such efforts take place?
Not really. I mean, the biggest DAO event is the DAOist, but they haven't tried doing it in this way, like following like a curriculum or really trying to make it focused on representing all DAOs. I think partially because there are physical events, so they needed a lot more money to make it happen, which meant that they had to be more focused on like promoting the DAOs that projects that sponsored the event rather than like DAOs that got involved and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't seen anybody try this, and especially the DAO playbook. Like there's nobody tried writing the DAO playbook at all, and then like even less so a crowdsourced DAO playbook, which I thought was like the best way to do it, because like in a decentralized movement you can't really have the playbook written by a single person or a few people. So we wrote this playbook that like has input from 70 plus people.
Yeah, like what has that experience been like of like coordinating with 70 plus people and through a series of like synchronous events in DAOcember? Like what was that like, and the effort required to coordinate afterwards asynchronously to create the playbook?
Well, it took I think DAOcember took me like 2 or 3 months in total, like organizing plus like running it. And then so like since all the content was captured during DAOcember, we didn't have to coordinate so many people for the DAO playbook. So the DAO playbook was written by I think like 6-7 people, who like each wrote a few chapters, and then one person was hired to take all of the chapters and put them together and like make them all sound similar and like align all the formatting and all that. And then the final step. So actually, yeah, it must have a lot longer list of contributions, because so it started with content from 70 people, but then the final step after the editing was done was we put out the call. Let me show this actually real quick. Notes. So then we posted it in the Telegram group, and it has like these 5 instructions. So like adding sources and links for further reading, fixing typographical errors, adding missing points or clarifying, rephrasing paragraphs for brevity, and adding illustrations, infographics, and memes. So these 5 tasks were passed on to the community, and we basically invited the whole Telegram group, and we invited the whole Telegram group and the Twitter following to come to this document and add their suggestions, and then people will be paid for these suggestions. So like we'll be tipping like each typo correction is worth like 1 token or 1 USDC, and we had like 300 comments on the document. So that was a fun experiment, but it took a lot of time to process all of these edit suggestions. What else? I would say that the DAOscember took most time to organize it. DAO playbook took less time organizing, but actually ended up taking almost as much time for like doing the writing and editing. It was easier to delegate. So like that's one thing that I would mention. Like writing the playbook or editing the playbook was much easier for me to actually delegate and decentralize than it was organizing DAOscember or DAOSpring. And then DAOSpring, like since it's only 1 session per week, it almost feels like a vacation compared to DAOscember.
Okay. Like a vacation in what way? Like I am very much in the loop of DAO Spring.
No, I mean it's
But-
not super easy, but like compared to DAOscember, it's much easier.
Mhm. And what was the nature of the incentive design? Like you mentioned USDC for contributors. Like have you experimented with different kinds of incentives which might be non-financial, or like working with DAOs which might like compensate these contributors through their own compensation mechanisms as they help out on DAOscember or the DAO playbook?
Yeah, we airdrop the NFTs. Also,
Yeah.
like in MetaGame. Have trucks passing here. In MetaGame, for example, we bootstrapped the whole project with a token that was not liquid at all. So we just said like, at first we just had like a spreadsheet, and it was like, okay, so 1 hour of my time is worth 10 tokens, and then like that was basically the value of tokens. So like we just said, regular contributions, 1 hour of contributing is worth 10 tokens. If it's like low impact contributions, then it's maybe 5 tokens. But if it's like a high impact contribution, then maybe it's 20 tokens. And that quickly became too complicated to manage. Then we started using SourceThread. Then later on, we moved to Coordinate. I think that was a cool experiment, like bootstrapping a project using a token, which at first like had no value at all. It wasn't even like it wasn't even listed on Uniswap or anywhere. So like people couldn't do anything with it, but they still contributed to earn the token. I think that's cool, and I like having. At first, I really love this idea of like pushing for only non-financial rewards, and I was even kind of religious about it because like I still had a bit of PTSD from the ICO boom. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to build a project with no funding, like no ICO, no investors. We're just gonna start building it, and we're gonna start minting this token, and that's it. And it worked, but it was slow. Like, so I would say that's the main issue. And the other main issue, like, I mean, part of the reason that it's slow is that when people are not paid, they are also not very reliable. So you get people who join the project and they make a lot of promises, but then don't do much or anything. I would say it's probably best to like mix the rewards. So like you have both the financial and non-financial rewards, and if it's possible. Otherwise, like it's definitely possible to bootstrap a project with completely like non-financial rewards, but there should be like at some point, so like you say, okay, for the first year we're going to operate like this, and then after a year we're going to raise money or like start charging membership, or in some way be able to actually pay people, because like if people are not paid, they're not going to be reliable, and they're not going to work full time, and they're not going to lead the project. And like if you want the project to succeed long term, you need people to take ownership of different parts, and you need them to lead, and they're just not going to do it. And then it ends up being the founder being the only crazy enough person who's going to keep leading the project without being paid almost anything. So that's what I'm trying to change with DAO accelerationism. And well, DAOscember was organized for no money, but then as soon as it ended, we like ended the raised sponsorships and like paid people retroactively. And I'm trying to make it so that each event, everything is like completely sustainable from the beginning, and people are paid, and it definitely works better.
Thank you for answering in so much detail. Like, we have 4 minutes left officially, but if people want to continue discussing, I'm free to do that as well. Like, Peth, like, do you have anything else to share? And are there any more questions or comments?
No questions or comments. That's good. Yeah, what I want to share is this hat. So part of the sustainability effort, like DAOSpring is paid through sponsorships, but we are selling this Make DAOs Bloom Again NFT, and the funding will all go to bootstrapping liquidity for the DAO G token. So none of this will go towards paying anybody, but like purely for funding the DAO G scene coin and for adding people to the group. So yeah, whoever is interested in any of this, consider picking up this NFT, and then once we drop the token, you will get refunded in this token. And other than that, thank you very much, Sid, for inviting me. Thank you everybody for listening to me ramble for so long. Let me share other links as well. And, yeah, join DAOSpring as well. Like we are in 3rd week, so it goes on for 5 more weeks after this. So it's 8 weeks in total. So there's still plenty of time to get involved. And thank you, Sid, for pasting all the links and sharing your screen so diligently and blazingly fast.
Thank you, Peth. And like, this is so serendipitous for you to be sitting in this background. And like, I know it wasn't planned, but maybe it was just destined for you to share about decentralized structures while being in a forest surrounded by trees. Like, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
2 minutes later, I would be on a beach.
Yeah, awesome. We look forward to that beach. Like, if people have more questions, they can definitely like reach out to Peth or me on Telegram. Like, Peth can share his Telegram. I think he just did in a DM to me.
Yeah.
So his
DM is
Telegram
open.
and
If anybody has any
yeah.
questions or anything, feel free to DM me whenever.
Yeah, so I'm Sid Code on Telegram as well as Twitter. And before closing, if you are interested in more such conversations and being a part of like a community which has such kinds of conversations and combine it with craft, like Kernel, which is the community which is hosting this event, has applications open for its next block, Kernel Block 9. So if you're interested, feel free to apply. I'll just drop the link to that as well in the chat. Thank you for coming. And if
The
there
host-
is,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Kernel.
thank you. We can end the session with some music. Thank you everyone for coming.